Knicks were in uniform, ready to go, just like Rose, who is back in the Knicks lineup tonight, as I mentioned, 2 days after going AWOL on the Knicks for their loss to New Orleans. The Knicks fined Rose for the disappearing act Monday when he says he flew to Chicago to tend to be with his mother and a family matter. He also says his absence had nothing to do with basketball. The interesting thing here is, as news comes out, whatever it might be, or as Rose fills in blanks if he chooses to do so, what the fallout might be from all this.
Yeah, and I was here Monday night, and we were talking about it as it was happening. So you're taking bits and pieces of information and trying to figure out what's going on. And the Knicks weren't given a ton of information, obviously. Nobody had actually seen Derrick Rose since shoot-around. But clearly, if the Knicks fined him for missing a game but didn't suspend him, there has to be something going on that we maybe don't know about.
It sure seems like there's some mitigating circumstance that they're aware of that they just haven't shared with the public.
And I think that makes sense, because if this is a personal family matter, there may be extenuating circumstances that he doesn't want to share with the public, that he doesn't want getting out, and I think you got to respect that.
Having said that, it is still a player's responsibility to let his team know, no matter the circumstances, hey, I'm not going to be there tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely the player's responsibility to let a team know. I remember I was in the same situation. When I was in Charlotte, my mom had emergency heart surgery, called the team, said, hey, I'm not coming to practice, probably not going to make it to the game. And the team was very gracious that I called them and said, we wish her all the best.
Sure.
And we moved on about our business. I'm not sure if that call was made by Derrick Rose or if it wasn't, because we're getting conflicting reports right now. So only time will tell. And the truth will come out eventually. But as a player, if you are in that situation, you have to let your team know that this type of situation is going on. It only takes 20 to 30 seconds.
Well, most of the information we've gotten so far indicates there was no call made. The Knicks actually sent an employee to look for him at one point. Jeff Hornacek said he got a text after the game finally. But Carmelo Anthony said it was, quote, worrisome. And that was my thought sitting at home that night was, oh my gosh, I hope he's all right, because you just don't know what has happened to him.
Yeah, that was our biggest worry was, if nobody had seen him, they sent somebody to his apartment, nobody could get in touch with him. His agent doesn't call. All of those things are going through your mind. This could be something dangerous that's happened to Derrick Rose. But I think Brendan makes a great point, and I think we all have to really think about that. There's a professionalism that's involved in this, that you call and alert somebody. Sure. I don't care if it's just one guy. But
even if it's your agent making the call.
Exactly. And you let them know, hey, we have a serious family matter going on and Derrick's not going to be there. You avoid all of this drama if you do that.
Absolutely. And that's standard in virtually any business, by the way. If you're not showing up for work, you have to call your employer and let that person know.
If you'd like to stay employed.
Yes, yes. Greg Anthony's back in the film room. As I mentioned, Greg, you've been fairly critical of Rose and this incident in particular. In terms of what he's doing on the floor tonight, so far so good.
It looks really good. And, one of the issues from a basketball standpoint with Derrick, starting to show more explosiveness, but still hadn't been able to get to the rim and finish in the paint with the consistency that you had come to expect. Tonight, though, we're starting to see more of that. He has been in attack mode for the Knicks all night, got a little bit of a bounce to his step, and just getting to the rim and see there the nice little jump stop and the jump hook to get the finish, then getting out in transition with this kick ahead and a nice easy finish. And then this is one that I like. You give it up, you get it back, and then you get into that lane again. That little runner, that little floater, he's having a really good job, or done a really good job, I should say, of getting all the way to the rim, and he's putting a lot of pressure on the defense. And once you've done that, now it becomes a lot easier to knock down that jump shot. You've gotten the rhythm, you've gotten the flow. Hopefully he can put a lot of this stuff behind him. And you're right, Matt. I have been critical of him, in part not because he missed the game, but to what Sekou and Brendan was saying, the fact that he didn't reach out. Listen, I got 4 kids. If one of my kids, God forbid, were to die and I'm still playing, I'm going to reach out to the team. You got to at least give them that courtesy. That's the real issue with this. Listen, he's had a tumultuous last 3 years, culminating with the trial that he just went through. So there's a lot going on away from basketball. We can all understand and appreciate that, but that does not take away the responsibility that you have to at least address your team. Let them know. Because a lot of people, myself included, was worried. I was thinking the guy was stranded in some ditch. The weather was bad in New York. He just didn't really have an idea. Hopefully he can get it behind him at some point and just get back to playing basketball.
Absolutely, that's great, and it's great to see him healthy and on the floor again because there are a lot of people around the league and observers who were very concerned about his well-being that night. I think it's also fair to criticize the Knicks for the way they've handled this as well. Phil Jackson did not speak to reporters after this incident. This has become sort of an ongoing theme with him as well.
Yeah, not a peep from Phil Jackson. I feel like as big of an issue as I had with Derrick Rose not contacting somebody, I really felt like Phil Jackson put Jeff Hornacek and all of Derrick Rose's teammates in a terrible position Monday night because they've got to come in after the game and be the ones that speak for the organization.
Right.
And when they're telling everybody, hey, I got nothing to say, I don't know what happened, we're not sure, it just leads to more and more speculation. That's a terrible way for them to have to handle it. And then on top of that, you're losing 8 or 9 games and looking terrible on the floor. It only adds to the drama.
And this is, again, this has been an ongoing theme throughout the season so far that Phil Jackson in particular just hasn't made himself available to the media, which is, of course, the conduit for fans to ask the questions that they want asked about their team.
Last we heard, it was about he and Jeannie's engagement being off.
Right.
That was the last public anything we've heard of Phil Jackson.